Family goes, oh na na na, oh na na na.
Purchase your
Come kick it with the Casey's. All that love and all those babies. C-A-S-C-Y. Welcome to the life. Welcome. C-A-S-C-Y. DJ Envy and Gia, oh oh. It's time to kick it with the Casey's. You're tuned into the Casey crew.
What up, y'all? It's DJ Envy.
And I am Gia Casey.
And this is another edition of the Casey Crew.
Welcome. Hello, 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 beautiful people.
That's right. We are back. A lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and a lot of things happening, all right? Before we start, we have to send, Estat is our camera guy. We had an episode talking about our parents and them making it to the afterlife. And we just want to say rest in peace to his mom that passed away. Estat is a long-time recorder. He does the podcast. He does the taping. He does a lot of the things behind the scenes. So we always want to send love, healing energy, tell him that we love him and his family, and say rest in peace to his beloved mom. So we want to start right then and there, right? So salute to Estat. He's here with us today, but we just want to say salute. We know it's always a tough time when you lost a loved one. Gia dealt with it. I dealt with it when Gia's mom passed, when grandma passed, when Uncle George passed. So it's always good to just send healing energy, and we'll always continue to pray for Estat. And he's if his mom is watching, which I know she is, Estat is always part of our family, the crazy member of our family, but he is always part of our family. He's like he's like the seventh shoe, right? Because when Jackson comes, he's like Jackson's bigger brother. Like, let's go outside and play remote control cars. Oh, let me show you how to use the drone. Oh, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to backflips. Like, he is that. So we just wanted to start with that.
I just got London a 3D printer.
Yes.
For her birthday. And I said, you know what? Estat probably knows something about a 3D printer. And I said, Estat, do you know anything about this thing that I just got her for her birthday? He's like, I have one.
Of course.
He's like, we can go play together.
Of course I have one. And, you need this and that. And the one that you got was too expensive and doesn't even have that. You can get the cheaper one, which has that. Yeah. To the point where, Jackson for his birthday wanted a metal detector. Not a metal detector to pat you down to go, but he wanted the metal detector where he could walk around.
On the beach. And
he was watching YouTube and he thinks in the backyard it might be a safe with $100,000. Who knows? But he wanted one. So we were actually going to get him one. And Estat.
Oh, I ordered it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, Estat said, don't get that. They're too expensive. What you need to get him is a drone because he'll have more fun with a drone. I said, well, Estat, who's going to take him out there to learn with the drone? If I take him out there with the drone's going to be in the woods somewhere. Oh, I can show him. It's easy. He's a smart kid. He'll learn. But he's like that. Even one more thing to talk about Estat. We're done talking about Estat. One time, Gia and I were had to go out of town. And they had like a play day at the school. Whatever it's called.
No, it was Jackson's soccer game.
No, he went there and played with them.
Wait, did you go to his school for something once? It was just a soccer game. No, it was a soccer game.
No, I thought he went and played with them because it was like bring your dad to work day or bring something. And I couldn't make it because me and you were out of town and my dad can't run around on the field. So we sent Estat.
Yes, it was soccer.
Oh, it was soccer. It was a soccer. But anyway, Estat went out there and played soccer with the kids. Like, that's how part of the family that Estat is. Yeah. But like I said, he's one of the crazy chews. All right.
And his mom used to make me curry chicken.
That's right.
And rice.
Yeah.
Rice
So
and beans.
Rest in peace again. But today is also a big day. We announced our 6th annual car show. So Estat, hit him with the video. We're back! That's right, the Drive Your Dreams Car Show is back. Saturday, August 17th at the Meadowlands Expo Center in New Jersey. Indoor and outdoor car show this year. We're talking American muscle, exotics, old school cars, bikes, trucks, and of course, celebrity cars. Cars from Offset, Cardi B, A Boogie with the Hoodie, Cash Cobain, 50 Cent, and more. We're talking rides, jumpies, and kids' entertainment, food trucks, and so much more. Get your tickets now for the Drive Your Dreams Car Show. It's coming back to New Jersey, Brought to you by Lincoln Tech, Monster Energy, East Jeep, and Power 105.1. See you there. That's right, and there it is. August 17th is the date. We're inviting all of you guys out there.
And your kids.
And your kids,
Yes.
your grandparents. It doesn't matter. We want you to come on out. It's a car show. It's a kid magnet where you can bring all your kids and they can play games with each other. There's activities. There's rides. There's jumpies. There's going to be so much
Are you doing
going
gaming
on.
trucks?
There's gaming trucks. We tell people like this: where can you go in the world for less than $50 and have rides, activities, jumpies, music, cars for the kids, food trucks? Shout to John, one of my barbers. He's actually bringing the whole barber crew out, and they're going to be doing free haircuts for kids.
Yeah. Mhm.
Free haircuts for kids. We're going to be doing backpacks because it's August, it's back to school time. We're going to be giving away backpacks while supplies last. Mercedes is saying while supplies last. While supplies last, because we're going to be giving backpacks. So if you come, you could get a backpack. It'll have school supplies. So it's just something that hopefully we can help you on. Parking, absolutely positively free. So you don't have to pay for parking. So once you're inside, you can enjoy, you can relax, and just have a good time. It's August 17th. We have celebrity cars from, as you can see, Cardi B, Offset, French Montana, 50 Cent, Cash Cobain, just to name a few. A Boogie with the hoodie as well. So get your tickets, and we have VIP tickets. People always say, well, what does the VIP ticket give you? It gives you a swag bag of cool-ish. You get to get in the venue early before anybody else, so no lines, no problem, and you get a food ticket. So with one of the food trucks or one of the people inside, you get a ticket for food for yourself, or if you get 3 VIPs, you get 3. So it's going to be a lot of stuff. So if you want to get the VIP, you get there early. You ain't got to worry about the crowds. You get in there before everybody else. You get to hang with Gia and myself before everybody else. You get food and all that other stuff in a cool swag bag. So if you haven't got your tickets, get your tickets. And we're asking everybody, if you get a ticket, I want you to post yourself. Hey, what's up? Is whatever your name is, Envy, we're pulling up to the car show. Me and the family, me and my girl, me and the girls, me and the homies, me and the wife, me and the husband, whatever it is. Post a little 5-second video, tag me, and I'm going to be reposting all of them. So I just want to say thank you guys for all the support. So our 6th annual car show is August 17th, and I can't wait to see you guys.
Where is it?
Oh, at the Meadowlands, at the Meadowlands Expo Center in New Jersey. This year, it's indoor and outdoor. So we're going to have the outdoor vibes where you could chill, pull up, relax, and then, of course, the indoor vibes. And it's brought to you by Lincoln Tech. It's brought to you by Monster Energy and East Jeep. So I can't wait to see you guys August 17th.
Where can they get a ticket?
You can go to Eventbrite. You can click the link in my bio or Gia's bio or Event Noir. Wherever you get your tickets, we should have tickets. Any other questions?
Bring your kids. We're bringing ours. Is Monster going to be there with the bikes?
Yeah, Monster Energy is going to be there with the bike exhibition. So they'll be doing the flips and the tricks and all that other stuff. And like I said, where could you go for less than $50 and get a show from Monster Energy with the bikes and flipping? Where could you go to get the rides, the jumpies, free haircuts, backpacks while supplies last?
Are you getting the stilt walkers and the face painters and all that
It's going to
stuff?
be a lot of cool stuff in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but some of that stuff is a surprise, but a lot of cool
Oh, my
stuff.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so the link is in the bio, and the link you can just click. I'm sure he'll have something where you can click, boom, and go right to it. All right, well, let's get the podcast started now.
Yes. What are we talking about today?
Something that we've seen on social media, and I know you guys have seen on social media, but we haven't discussed yet. And the reason we haven't discussed yet is because to us, we felt it was a bigger picture than what was out there. And this is everything going on with Diddy, and of course, the nasty and horrible video we seen of him and Cassie in the hotel. And him putting his hands on her and throwing her to the floor, dragging her, kicking her, and all those other disgusting and nasty things. The reason I want to discuss it, because we were saying, like, yeah, Diddy's an animal, and we seen the animal in Diddy when we seen that, and we seen all the nastiness, but there has to be a bigger picture to discuss, right? And, you know, we salute Cassie, we salute the fact that she was able to stand up and talk about it and write it down, because this actually came from her statement that she was going to sue Diddy with. So to relive this over and over and over again has to be so difficult for her. So Cassie, if you're out there and you're listening, definitely sending healing energy and and pray to God and wish that didn't happen to anybody's sister, daughter, mother, or anything like that. I seen Dame Dash say, if that was his daughter, he'd probably kill Diddy. And looking at that video, I would absolutely positively feel the same way. If somebody did that to any one of our daughters, um, Madison, London, Brooklyn, or Peyton, I would feel the same way.
But that's just a way for people to understand the depth of what happened in a personal way.
Mhm.
Because when people say, oh, if that were my daughter and whatnot, I think one of the first reactions that a person might say is, well, why does it have to be your daughter for you to understand how horrible that action is?
Mhm.
But it's because we're inundated with bad news all day long, every day, to a point where I feel as though we're almost desensitized to a lot of it. I have the Newsbreak app, and all day, an alert comes onto my phone, and I'm looking, and I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll read a story to the point where it affects me. It really affects me. Like my Newsbreak app, it really, really affects me, where I have to kind of make a decision some days. Like, I'm just not going to read any of the negative stories. But just like me, we're all inundated with bad news. I don't even watch the news anymore.
Mhm.
So I think that a lot of times people get desensitized unless you personalize it, unless you put it in a context where, wow, if that was someone that I knew, if that was my daughter, my mother, my sister, my aunt, and then you can kind of understand or potentially have an inkling, because you would never know unless it really happened to you or someone that you love. But at least at that point, you can have an inkling of what it might feel like, or what a loved one of one of those victims
Mhm.
would feel like.
So what we wanted to start today is the mind frame and the reason why we think why, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I guess, how can you love somebody or say that you love somebody, but then drag them, throw them on the floor, or kick them and punch them?
What do you think the answer to that is?
I think the answer is a couple of things. I think one is insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
I think one is low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other is power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in all those cases, I see all of that in Diddy
Mm-hmm.
and that person of Diddy. I don't know if Diddy got help. He said he got help. He said he devolved. I don't know. But I'm just talking about what I saw and what I do see in people sometimes. The low self-esteem, meaning it almost gives somebody power. It makes them feel better to put somebody else down.
Mm-hmm.
And that just doesn't have to be with physically abusing somebody. It's the way that, you talk to somebody. It's the way that you are with
Mm-hmm.
somebody. It's the way that you are with employees and friends and all of that. Like, one thing that we always say is you treat the janitor like the president.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't, almost feels like a power struggle. And that power struggle could have came from so many different places, and a low self-esteem could have came from so many places, and who he is could have came from so many places, but that doesn't make it an excuse, right? It could be the way that he grew up. His father died at a young age. He lost his number one artist. He lost his number two artist. He lost his number three artist. There's so much death around him, which can put him in a depression mode. But the depression mode he's taking out on the world. And that's where we have to be as men to be better than that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you look at somebody's self-esteem where it seems like it makes him feel powerful to put somebody else down.
I think that is a recurring theme with many, many people, bullies.
Mhm.
That's where a bully originates. It's feeling low self-esteem and having to make people feel as though they're inferior to you so that you can feel superior to them. And, bullies aren't just on the playground.
Mhm.
People have bullies within friendships. There are bullies at work. There are bullies everywhere, in our adult relationships. We can encounter bullies. It's just someone that's taking advantage of someone that may not be as they may not present as a strong individual, where they may not be equipped to stand up for themselves, and I think that that's where part of the power play is. When you talk about power, there's a feeling behind being able to talk down to someone and then realize that they're taking it. That just encourages you to continue to talk down to them if that feeds you. Some people, that feeds them, that feeds their ego, to keep people in a submissive place, and you feel as though you're above them.
Right.
And I think that may have played out in Diddy's situation with Cassie and with many, many abusers, because, being condescending to someone is one way to feel superior to them. To put your hands on someone who is inferior to you in some way, whether it be their mentality, their physical strength, or whatever, it plays out that way as well.
But I also feel like a lot of older men, and we've seen it in this situation, and we're going to take it out of this situation, but I've seen in a lot of situations where a lot of times older men will pick a younger woman because they feel they can control. They talked about when they first met, and, she was 20, 21 years old.
I thought she was 19.
Or maybe 19. And he was in his 30s at the time. Possibly even 40. I don't know the exact numbers, but he was a lot older. And the problem with that is you live life. You know what to say. You know what moves. And here you have this 19-year-old, or 20-year-old, or 21-year-old, even 18-year-old. We see in a lot of relationships. Like I said, we're taking it out of Diddy. We see this a lot because, we see this a lot because it's a way for men to be able to control, right?
Yes.
Why are you laughing?
To me?
Yeah.
That's laughable.
What you mean?
We're in our 40s. We have a daughter who's...
I'm 30, but go ahead.
You will never see 30 again. We have a daughter who's 22.
22.
And a son who's 20.
Correct.
It is laughable, the idea of a latter 30-something or a 40-something having any kind of romantic interest in an 18, 19, or 20-year-old.
I agree.
I would venture to say it's disgusting. And what I believe you were alluding to is, I think that the only reason for that, aside from, I'm sure that, you may find that 18, 19, 20-year-old very beautiful because they're youthful, etc. But the only reason you would really be interested in someone that young is to control them. Because...
Or sex. Looks and sex, of course.
Well, that's what I said. Obviously, they're very beautiful. So that's what I mean. You look at them in a sexual way. But what could an 18 or a 19-year-old have in common with a 39-year-old? Just like you said, by 39, you have lived. You have done some things. You have experienced some things. An 18-year-old is just getting their feet wet. They might put on their right foot shoe on their left foot and vice versa at that point. They don't, and of course, I think that my 18-year-old girl was very intelligent, could contribute to a conversation, can maybe even make me think twice on an opinion I may have had. So I'm not saying that an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old can't contribute in an intelligent way or have anything to offer mentally. But where they lack is experience.
Right.
So someone that is so experienced, it almost feels as though to be interested in someone that young, they are preying on them. It seems very opportunistic to me. And I can't imagine a parent that would be okay with that. A few years, you're 18, maybe someone 21. If you're a very mature 18, maybe even 22. If you've worked and you've supported yourself and you've been through some things, and maybe if you're not as sheltered. I'm not saying that there is a hard line, but what I do know is that encroaching on 20 years there can't be an excuse unless you are trying to control someone.
Mhm.
That's why I laugh. It just, when you put it in that, I'm just like, I'm doing the math. And I'm like, that's laughable
Mhm.
because there's no excuse for that.
And I think also with our daughters, we have to be more as what's the word I'm looking for? More of a tribe, right? And the reason I say that is a lot of times I feel like this happens because there is no, especially men in young women's lives.
Mm.
Whether it's fathers,
Yes.
whether it's uncles, whether it's big brothers, whether it's family members, grandfathers, personal friends. Because I think a lot of times, I think a lot of women, I don't want to say a lot of women, but people look for a way out, right?
Mhm.
And in that situation, here you have a mogul,
Mhm.
100 millionaire, sold countless records and had countless artists. And here's this young girl wants to be a star. She's a recording artist, and she's listening to everything that he says because she's feeling like I can trust him. He can guide me. But obviously it was wrong. So and him as a mogul, it's like playing right in his hands. Oh, she will do anything to be a star.
Mhm.
Oh, she'll do anything to get her records out.
Well, I don't know if anything is the right word because we don't know what she did
But I'm thinking maybe
or
that's what
didn't
he's
do.
thinking.
He may have
He may
thought
think,
that.
right.
Okay.
And like I said, we're taking it out of Diddy, so it's not even Diddy anymore. We're just talking about an older person and a younger person, somebody especially trying to get in industry. But when you start doing those things, it's like, oh,
You know what
wow.
that's called? When a person takes someone who is oftentimes younger, inexperienced, and not on their level in whichever way the context dictates, and create situations where uh, there are things that are appealing to that less experienced person,
Mhm.
where it's systematic, it's by design,
Mhm.
and it's planned, where I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that to increase that person's appetite of being with you and listening to the things that you tell them and following you. That's called grooming.
Right. That's exactly what it was.
That's called grooming. In my opinion, it's an opinion. I feel as though he set his mark. It was likable for him. It was something that he created in his mind and said, this is what I want. And I think that he laid all of the traps. And then there are a lot of things that he didn't have to lay that were just inherent with his situation, right?
But I
He
well,
just
let me
like you
cut you off
said.
for 1 second.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it was. See, people when they say grooming, they feel like a man looks for a girl and I'm gonna groom her. I don't think that's how it happens.
I think that's what I was getting to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I think it's one of those things. Oh, she's a beautiful girl. Damn, I would like to take her out, and it starts from there. It's almost like she's listening to me so much, I can control her. I think you should cut your hair like this. She does it. Oh, I think you should wear this. She does it, and it's so it's not like I'm gonna groom her and make it his way. It's one of those natural things where you give up power. The guy takes the power,
Mhm.
and now he's like, it's almost like, oh, I own you. I can make you do whatever you want. And then it just
Mhm.
goes further and further and further. Whether the woman wants to do it or not, it's almost like I relinquish myself to you.
Yes.
And then the person that you relinquish that power to takes it past what it's supposed to be.
I would say that may have been the case the first time that he did it. Assuming that that Cassie isn't the only girl that he allegedly did this to,
Mhm.
right? Maybe that's what taught him the game. Maybe that's what taught him how it worked. Do you see what I mean? Like I said, I doubt that Cassie was the first girl that he'd ever done this to. So I think that by the time he got to Cassie, like I said, he's late 30s at this point, potentially. He's experienced. By the time he got to Cassie, he already knew what to do.
Mm.
And his mogul status, his larger than life, his wealthy, people find him attractive, party guy, talented. And, you take it out of, just the level of where, we know him when that, like Met Gala, on a yacht in Saint-Tropez, parties in Cannes. Like, this isn't just a celebrity. Like, this is a worldwide name. You looked at him as being respected. You're leading with all of that. You take a girl who's only 19, let's say she was even 20 or 21 or 22. You take someone so young and their eyes are wide open. You're introducing them to a world that they could never even imagine, let alone think that they could touch. And that's enticing. And you give them a little at a time. And then it becomes maybe something like a drug, that all of these microaggressions that you start suffering in the beginning, they turn into much larger aggressions. And it's a slow grind. Whereas some people just wake up and it's like, damn, like, how did I wind up here? Now I'm so far gone. But you know what? You didn't have the experience to teach you how to fend for yourself in those situations. You didn't cut those microaggressions off at the knees. You let them grow and fester. And you probably didn't even realize that you were doing that, because it was just all of these little changes. Everything that was aggressive just became a little bit more harsh as the days went by, as the months went by, as the years went by. And then what's also probably happening in that situation is you're falling probably more and more in love. Because a lot of times what happens is when you're being abused, a lot of times as women, and I can't speak for men, I've known many women that were abused and that were in domestic violence situations. So I do feel as though I have a front seat to how it works. A lot of times when you're being abused, the man has a way of making you feel as though, it makes you feel a lot of things, but where I'm going with this is that I love you so much that you got me to this place. I love you so much that only you could make me so angry, that only you can get under my skin. I didn't love you so much, I wouldn't have been in a position where I would have put my hands on you, where I would have thrown you up against that wall. I lost my mind because I'm so crazy about you, because I love you so much. And I think that there's something that happens psychologically where you're beat down so badly, and then someone comes to you, because it always happens that way. When they come back to apologize, it's like they come back with that love. And it's like that overpouring of love. And I love you so much, and I would never do it to you again. And they're sitting there and they're crying together potentially. And, and then it becomes a routine. That's what happens time after time after time again. So you're in a situation where you're so used to being knocked down, and it's like you're almost waiting for that pick me up. So a lot of women look at it as, he loves me so much. And nothing could be farther from the truth. But the lack of experience, the youth, doesn't have an opportunity to teach them better. Do you see what I mean? And that's where having friendships, a mother, a father, aunts, that family team, you use the word tribe, that tribe around you, that safe place where they can put that battery in your back to say, you don't deserve that. But when someone says to you like, oh, you don't deserve that, I feel like we almost have to find a new way to communicate with people, because I don't know about you, but for me, and it's funny, I have a friend who's going through something completely different, but when she speaks to her children, I have to tell her, don't say those regular, normal things that we hear over and over and over again, because it goes in one ear and right out the other. Like, you deserve better. Does that register? We hear it so much. It almost seems like nothingness. It's like, I feel like we almost have to find different ways to communicate with each other and not just say the regular old rigmarole cliche sayings, because I feel as though they lose their weight, they lose their meaning. Do you know what I mean? So it's a very difficult situation to be in, but I know that a lot of my girlfriends that have been through it, they feel as though what I just said, they also have come to me and told me that they almost feel like they deserve it. They have felt as though if I didn't provoke him, if I didn't put myself in that situation, I know he doesn't like when I fill in the blank, and I did it anyway. I just have to do this and then we'll be good. I know what he likes. I know what he doesn't. They feel as though they deserve it. So it begs the question, how do you find yourself in a position so low that the outcome is being beat and you're accepting it?
That's a good question.
And you're accepting it. And you touched on it earlier. You said that it stems from low self-esteem.
I do think so.
And insecurity. Those are two different things though, you know. I've known people that have had high self-esteem that have been insecure. Because I feel as though insecurities are more pointed. Insecurities are more about something specific about you. You can have a high self-esteem. You can say, I'm smart, I'm successful, and I'm funny, but I'm insecure about my appearance. Or I look amazing. I'm very happy with the way that I appear, but I don't feel too bright. When I'm in social situations, I don't feel like I can really contribute to a conversation because I feel stupid when I speak, when I open my mouth. You know, those are separate insecurities. So low self-esteem is an overarching idea that we kind of just like throw at things. But just because you're insecure about something doesn't mean that you have low self-esteem.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? With him, I don't think that he had low self-esteem. I think that he was insecure.
Correct.
As someone that puts his hands on a woman, you have to be very insecure to do that because you don't feel as though leading with your mentality, your ability to communicate, and what you genuinely have to offer is enough to make that person stay and do for you the things that you feel that you need as a human being.
Or power.
There's that.
Power.
Go ahead.
That's power. I mean, you hear it all the time that people want to display power, right? And we've talked about this before, and I'm sure a lot of you guys heard it, where men that are not gay will make another man give them fellatio because it's a power trip.
I've heard that.
It's almost like, I'm not gay, but I'm going to force you to do it. And I know you're not gay because it's a sign of disrespect and I made you do that. That's power. I want to show the power that it is.
But I've heard of that happening. That's not flabbergasted right now.
That's not just threw up in his mouth.
I've heard of men, just like he said, who are not gay in a position of power over another man. And they're so drunk with the idea of power, engaging in sexual acts with that man who also isn't gay because they feel as though they can. And this is a demonstration of my power over you.
Right. So power could be another reason why people do the things that they do, because they want to show you, I can control you. And especially is do it and you can't do nothing about it. And a lot of times that's why a lot of women, they always say that they're scared to come out about it because they feel like they'll be blackballed. They feel like they won't be able to work in the industry that they want to work with. They feel like revenge can happen at any given moment. And women are scared and they feel like nobody will ever believe their story. So a lot of times when the person has so much power, they can do that. They can blackball you. They can make sure I have so much power, nobody's going to hire you in this town. I have so much power, nobody's ever going to believe you in this town. So the reason why a lot of women, don't ever say anything. But now let me ask you a question. And like I said, we're taking it out of the Cassie and Diddy situation because there's a lot of women that are in situations similar to this. Two things I want to say. One, and I'm going to say them both out there, throw them out like it's drops just so I don't forget. The one, why women stay. And two, the cuteness of a toxic relationship.
The cuteness of a toxic relationship?
Yeah.
Okay, explain.
So the first one is toxic being cute, right? And the reason why I say that is people find it funny when they're in a toxic relationship, right? Like, oh, I like a good toxic relationship. Oh, me and my man is toxic, right?
Really?
You hear that sometimes.
Okay.
But it's not cute. Because even if it's a little toxic, where it's like, oh, we did this or we argued about that, I keyed his car. I feel like it's always I hate to say this, but I feel like it's a gateway to something bigger,
Mm.
right? At first, it could be something,
Oh, yeah.
he put his hands on me. Then it could be, I keyed his car. He did this to me. I did this to that. I slapped him. I did this. I feel like those are build up to something where you don't want it to go.
You know what I think that is, though? I love how you put that cuteness of a toxic
Now,
relationship.
people think, oh, it's cool.
It's interesting. I think that those are people that are addicted to drama.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's no ending to it. It's
Mhm.
not like, we have
It only
drama,
it
we
only
argue,
amplifies over time.
then we have great sex at night. Like,
I mean, but that is true.
the great
But we've
sex.
had toxic moments.
Yeah,
Sex is bad.
every couple has had toxic moments. But I'm talking about a toxic
Y'all vouch for
relationship.
that.
Yes. I mean, if you
Go
read our
ahead.
book, you can see we've had toxic moments.
Yeah.
But, it's a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And that's where the problems lie, because there is no ending. It just keeps going.
Right.
It just keeps going. It keeps going. It's almost like, people who chase a high, right? They start with this and then they say, well, I want to try this to get me a little more higher.
Mm.
Oh, then
You mean like drugs?
drugs.
Mhm.
Then let me try this.
Mhm.
Oh, I have to try this. Then
You're,
I'm gonna add
you're
this.
tracing a higher
You're
high.
tracing a higher high.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And I think that's what happens a lot of time in relationships. And
But just like with drugs, what happens when there is no higher?
Mhm.
Then that's when I think, to tie it back, what you said before, like a guy switching his sexual orientation or dabbling in another orientation because you got so bored with being powerful in this context. Now I need to prove that I can be powerful in another context.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
so in the last thing I want to discuss is what I just told Benz. I remember now, Benz, is why do women stay?
Mm.
Right? And I'm not
Mhm.
blaming the woman, but trying to figure out why stay with abuse.
Oh.
Why not leave sooner? Why not get out as soon as the first signs are there?
Mm-hmm.
I always base it off of maybe there's no father, maybe there's no brother, maybe there's no male figure or family member in the life just says, no, I hug you, you're better than that. Why stay in those situations?
Mm-hmm. It is either one or a combination of the low self-esteem and or insecurity. I can think of multiple instances where I've been familiar with this topic,
Mhm.
where someone has told me outright, I don't think that I can do better.
Mm.
And how do you find yourself in a position where you think that you can't do better? Because it's usually by design. It's usually by design. That person doesn't just beat you down physically. It's always in tandem with being beaten down emotionally as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're ugly. No one else would ever want you.
Mm.
You need to work on your body. Who else would be interested in you? You're not that smart. Or constantly saying little things about a person's intelligence or their capabilities or their lack of talent. You're not that interesting. And even if someone isn't outright saying those things to you, they may engage in acts that leave you feeling that way. And they know that they're doing it. And that's why I'm saying it's by design. They are constantly, daily breaking you down to the point where you feel like you are nothing.
Mm.
And because it doesn't just fall out of the sky and crash on top of your head, because it is that slow grind, you're already far gone before you realize what has been happening, and you genuinely feel that way.
You never think a woman feel like I can change him?
I absolutely think
I can change him. He'll be different with me.
he'll be different with me after they already know that he's been abusive in
Maybe.
past relationships.
Or that if they see it, they could be like, oh, well, I'll change him. Or he did it one time. He was drunk. He did it one time.
Excuses.
He was high. He did it one time. He was stressed out. He had a
Mhm.
bad day. Do you think a lot of women
Yes.
stay because they feel like they can change the individual?
I think maybe after the first or second time, an excuse may work. But then after the first or second time, now we're in the land of routine. Now it's routine.
Right.
It's not he had a bad day at work or he just received some bad news. That doesn't work. Now, this is repetitive behavior. Now, this is who you are. You know, you didn't just lash out one day. And lashing out one time, the first time, that's not okay either.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough to make me want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not going to be an excuse because I can't live my life waiting for the next shoe to drop. What happens to the next time that you get bad news? You know? But I do think that, like you said, some women think that they can change them after it's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I've known women that became a part of a relationship after already knowing that the person that they're interested in has been abusive. I don't know any women that have entered into a relationship with someone that they knew was abusive, but they were tricked. You're with someone who's charming and witty and full of life and attractive, and it seems beautiful. And then those traits start revealing themselves over time. After you're already caught, after you're already there, after you're already in love, then those doors start opening and you start seeing that side of that person. But a lot of times you're already there, or you may be falling, you may be interested, and it starts unraveling. And once you're there after a certain period of time, then he starts exhibiting that type of behavior. Either way, you're already emotionally invested.
Let me ask you a question. So, to all the women out there that are listening that might be dealing with this, or maybe they have a sister dealing with this, or maybe a mom has a daughter dealing with this, what do you say to them, and how do you try to make sure that that doesn't happen to their loved ones, their daughter, their sister, their younger, whatever it may be? What do you say to those women out there? You said you've had friends that you've had to speak to and deal with. And I will say this before you go there. If you're around a person that is showing this behavior, in my opinion, you're just as bad as them. If you can sit there and see another man hit a woman, if you can sit there and see another man abuse a woman, and that's your quote unquote friend, your boy, your coworker, somebody you work with, and you say nothing, a lot of times you're just as bad. We've talked about a lot of these women in this situation on the show, and we talked about why women don't, say anything. Maybe they're scared or they feel like they'll be blackballed or whatever it may be. But a lot of time and we talk about a tribe, we have the ability to help when help is not called upon. If somebody gets into a car accident and they fucked up, they can't call for help, but a good Samaritan goes and helps regardless because that's the right thing to do. And a lot of times we forget the right thing to do. I have never seen any of my friends, any of my coworkers, or anybody that's close to me ever put their hands on a woman or talk to a woman disrespectful. And if they did, it would be a problem with me because I would never want to see that, because I look at every woman. I'm not going to say every woman, but I look at most women out there as my daughter, as my sister, as my mother, as my grandmother,
Because you have
depending on the
empathy.
age of them. Yes, because I have empathy. So I treat the women, especially the women around me, I treat them as they're somebody I have to control. Now, it's weird that I hear a dog, and we don't have a dog, but anyway. But back to what I was saying, I treat every woman out there like they are mine, and not as in mine as my property, but they are my responsibility. If you ever see me out with Mercedes and somebody's beefing with Mercedes, I'm beefing. If Mercedes has a boyfriend and there's a problem, there's an issue, I have a problem and I have an issue. Same thing with my daughters or anybody that's close to our family, because that's the way I genuinely feel, because that's how I was raised. So now let's break down what a woman should do, or what you suggest somebody in this situation do if they do need help.
Ask me that question in 2 seconds because you also said that you also asked like why women stay.
Mhm.
Another reason that women stay is because a lot of times they're scared.
Mhm.
They're scared of retaliation.
Mhm.
And we've all seen movies where a woman who's leaving an abusive man or wants to has to have an exit plan. There was a movie with Julia Roberts a long time ago where, what was it called? If you guys know, leave it in the comments. I'm not going to take the time to try to remember. But she was married to a very wealthy man,
Mhm.
and he was a neat freak, and he wanted everything perfect.
Mhm.
And he was very, very abusive to her. And it was so bad where she literally feared for her life. And She had to fake her own death in order to escape. Long
Right.
story short, he found her, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But that's a recurring theme in a lot of movies that we watch. Why? Because it imitates reality. A lot of women have to have an exit plan because they're fearful of their life. A lot of women, like you said, are fearful of being judged, fearful of not being believed. And when you accuse somebody of doing something like that, you have to deal with all the people that are thinking that you're doing it for attention, or you're doing it because it's a money grab, or you're doing it for a lot of other reasons. Think about how many naysayers had to step back up to the plate and apologize or rethink their original opinion once the Cassie and Diddy video dropped. It had a lot of people go,
Mhm.
well, oh, I didn't know all that. Well, she said all of that, but you didn't believe it. And I can understand people that are just, that just gave him the benefit of the doubt. Well, I didn't see it, so I don't know. Okay, I'll give you that. Good enough. But there were people that went out of their way to say that she was lying. They didn't believe her. She just wants a shot at his money. Women are fearful of being judged that way. So a lot of times they rather just not say anything. So there's a lot to be worried about. So most women will probably just take it on the chin and take it to their grave, Now, what's the question that you
Question
asked?
is, so, women out there that are in this situation, or you have a family member, sister, friend that's in a situation, what do you tell them?
A girl that's in that situation. My honest opinion is that it starts with you. It starts with you. You have to identify what's going on within you that is responsible for the reason why you're not leaving. Is it because you're fearful? Is it because you don't feel as though you could do better? Is it because you're so in love and you've been accustomed to the bad treatment that you've been suffering? What is the reason? And once you identify that, you need to do a lot of work on your own. I think you need to strengthen your relationship with God. I honestly believe that you need to pray and you need to understand what it is that God wants for you in this life. And God does not want that for any woman or any person. None of us are meant to be abused in any way, mentally, emotionally, physically. None of us are meant to be abused. And if you're with a person that's abusive in any way, you need to distance yourself from them because they are not for you. And that's not what love looks like. They may even think that they love you, but it's because they don't know what love is.
That's right.
So that has to be identified. If you need help getting there, I would seek therapy. And as we touched on earlier, I think it starts with having a tribe, people that lift you up, but not in a way where, it's not genuine. I always say about Jackson, our son, our 9, almost 10-year-old, Jackson will find something amazing about you and he will compliment it. He's not going to make up something to make you feel good, but he's going to find the one thing about you that he thinks is deserving of a compliment, and he's going to compliment you. I think that we need to honestly and genuinely lift each other up. We need to reassign the definition of beauty. When I look at a person, I don't look at what I see physically. I search for their beauty. If it happens to be physical, that's great. But I search for their beauty. Like, what is your beauty? What makes you unique? What makes you you? What's your magnetism? What's that special thing about you? I teach my kids to look for those things in other people because what's real beauty? Yes, it's nice to have, physical beauty. Yes, it's nice to have. It's nice to feel attractive. I like to feel attractive. You like to feel attractive. I'm sure everybody watching likes to feel attractive. But that's just the tip of the iceberg because beauty really does fade.
That's right.
And once you get to know someone and love someone, you start to care so much less about what attracted you to them in the first place, which is typically their external
Aesthetics.
their external features. So for me, it's about finding out what your beauty is
Mhm.
and loving that about you. It really is about self-love,
Okay.
you know, because once you genuinely love it, and if you don't love yourself, you have to figure out why you don't love yourself. Because maybe there can be something about you that you deem as unlovable. And maybe in your mind, you're thinking, that's why I'm with this sack of shit. Maybe that's the reason why only he will love me, quote unquote, because that's all that I'm deserving of. And that's why you stay. People will beat you down and have you believing such untruths and have you in the lowest place. So it's about working on that self-esteem and or insecurity so that you believe in yourself. And I do believe that when you feel as though you deserve,
Mhm.
that you get, you actually have to believe it. You can't fake that. So it's about getting back to you, understanding your beauty, improving on your insecurities and or self-esteem and leading with that. But you really do have to detach. But I don't want to say that you need a team, but I feel like you need people around you because you're already in that lowly place.
Right.
So I feel as though you need people that love you, to pour into you, to let you know in a real way who you bleeping are. Like who you are. You know, we got to put batteries in the backs of the people that we love,
Mhm.
you know, and let them know that you're an incredible person and you can do better. And even if you find yourself with no one as a replacement for a long period of time, it's better than being in the situation that you're in. But what you have to understand ultimately is that it has to end.
That's right.
It has to end.
That's right. And I just want to, this is going to sound like a commercial, but there's always the domestic violence hotline, right? Which is 1-800-799-7233. So if you're dealing with it, you feel like there's nobody to talk to, or you can't talk to your friends, or you're embarrassed, you don't want to talk to your girlfriends or your mother or grandparents, or whatever it may be, that number again is 1-800-799-7233. And that is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. All right. Well, good luck. And again, if anybody's going through anything like that, you could always DM myself or Gia, and we'll try to put you in the right direction, or even try to have those conversations. If you don't have a family members, or if you don't have a team, we will try to help you as much as possible. All right. All right. So now we are out of time. But what I want to do, I want to read the beginning of this email, and I'm going to stop it because this is such a good email. I think we need to do this next week. Okay, you ready?
You're
Hey,
going to ask me my opinion?
no. Hey, Gia and Envy. First, let me say that I'm a huge fan of you both, of the podcast. I watch and listen every week, and I look forward to every new episode. Sorry, Envy, this is long, but Gia likes details. I ask you that you keep my name anonymous because my husband sometimes listens to the podcast with me. Here is my situation. We have a 16, almost 17-year-old daughter. She has her first boyfriend who she is in a long-distance relationship with. They met online and never met in person and only talk on the phone. She introduced me to him via FaceTime about a month ago, and I thought he was a sweet young man. They're both inexperienced and have never even kissed anyone before. He started to send her a few gifts in the mail, which have been cute and thoughtful, and I've been supportive of her having her first relationship. The other day, I walked into her bedroom to chat with her, and as I was leaving out her room, I noticed something laying on the bed. It was the rose. I stopped dead in my tracks immediately, asked her where she got it from. She looked a little nervous and slightly embarrassed. She responded with her boyfriend's name. To be continued. We'll see you guys next week. We'll give you all the details and we'll get your reaction, all right?
Why is the rose a recurring theme in our podcast?
I'm,
Who picked that email? Was that your Benz?
I'm DJ Envy.
And I'm Gia Casey.
We'll see you guys next week. That was another edition of the KC Crew.
Toodles. What's wrong with you? You picked that?
Ben's gave me that. I thought that shit was hilarious.